Hello and welcome again to North Central Journal. I'm Scott May. You may have heard recently that the City of Leominster announced it would be providing free school supplies to all their students in grades K through 12. So joining us to discuss this great news for families in Leominster is Leominster Mayor Dean Mazzarella.
Good afternoon,
welcome
or evening,
back.
or whenever anybody's watching.
What time is it?
Could be 2 in the morning, wherever you are.
When the term school supplies is used, what does that refer to?
Well, I mean, I think your typical things that you buy, the paper, the pens, the binders. You know, there are some things that people will have to purchase themselves. If a student can't afford one of those more elaborate, Texas Instrument, devices, but we've supplied students already with Chromebooks. I mean, we're really going to try to supply students with as much as we possibly can. It's just under $300,000 if you want to use that as a, as a window, and that includes, free transportation. It includes no charge for AP courses. It includes, after-school events, athletics, all of those things. And people may say free, and it sounds like, well, it's free, and you're just giving things away. We really, the school committee, myself, the administration, we have this umbrella. We will do anything for any family or any student to make them succeed. That means the parents' obligation is to send their students to school rested, fed, and ready to learn. I mean, that's it. But even that, the governor has passed that part of the budget for free breakfast and lunch to continue on with that. But this is one shot we got at these students. We're like Fitchburg and a lot of other cities, very diverse, working class community, a lot of people in the construction business and work in factories of the healthcare industry, retail. A lot of people don't make a whole lot of money in this area, and but they work hard, and their commitment to education. But have you pushed a shopping carriage around anywhere lately? Any retail or the grocery store?
Sure, yeah.
Everybody walks out of the grocery store looking at their receipt like, this couldn't possibly be.
Shaking their head.
Yeah, pushing the carriage out into traffic, like looking to make sure they didn't make a mistake.
Yeah.
How could things have gone up? I always say, give more bags. It makes me feel like I bought more, like I got more for my money.
But what is the average or estimated cost per student?
Well, there's 6,000 students. So if you take that and divide it into 300,000, whatever the math is.
Do the math.
Yeah, do the math. But I really do. And I know people will say, oh, you're just giving stuff to people. You're just giving stuff free away to people. It's a different world today. And these students, and if you could see where our graduating students have gone in the past, they've done well, but they needed a little help along the way. And maybe you and I didn't need we had 2 pair of pants and 2 shirts. I know, walked through snow, 5 feet of snow, nobody gave us anything.
Yeah.
I get it, but it's a different world today. And just pushing your carriage, buying clothes, shoes, just some of the, not the frills, just some of the basic things. And let's not even go towards gas or fuel for your house, or if you need a car or you need to get insurance or registration or excise, don't even go. How about rent? How about what rents have happened in North Central Massachusetts? So you bundle that all up, and it's a struggle for people, and I really think this is a boost. I'm all for free market and capitalism and whatever everybody, the free market, but this is just a time when people are really struggling, and so we're really going to try to make sure every kid succeeds, and if they need materials, we'll get them to them.
So where is the funding coming from? How did this happen?
We budgeted. We still had money left over. We still had money from the federal government that gave us money for ESSER and ARBA funding, and so we've taken some of that. But we passed it in the budget when we passed the fiscal budget in June, actually we passed ours in May, and that's where it's coming from. I think the school committee, the superintendent, we all felt this is really important. And we see the families that are struggling.
My wife was a teacher for her career, so I have some experience, at least from a knowledge standpoint, that teachers pay a lot of out-of-pocket for school supplies too. Is this going to help them?
Absolutely, and it should. I don't think there's a teacher ever that will stop doing whatever. There's just something,
whatever it takes. Yeah.
It's something in them that just says, you know what, I see that over there. Let me get that for the students.
Yeah.
I think, and there's just something embedded in them. There's just a natural thing in them that makes them want to, help out. And if there's a school, I mean, we have Karen's Closet, which helps students sometimes that don't have clothing. I mean, there are a lot of things that we have in our schools. As I said, we want every kid to succeed, whatever it is that they want to do, whatever career path, or maybe they're not sure, we want them to succeed. And this is just, the changing world's new tools and sort of new things that you can do to help them succeed.
You mentioned it, we'll touch upon it again. Governor Healy and the state legislature announced that funding in this year's budget is going to be there to provide free lunches throughout the state for all public schools.
Right.
And that's got to be another big piece of this.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you look back, when we used to run our recreation programs, just was when I was younger, we were in by 9, at noon, out by hour for lunch, come back. If it wasn't raining or whatever, they'd be dawn by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We run programs from 7 in the morning until 7 at night. We two family parents working, right?
Sure, yeah.
And it's no longer, I could just run that program once in a while or a couple weeks during the summer. Same sort of thing. And, for a lot of these students, school has become home. And so we have to look at things differently than we did before.
You mentioned activity fees, and I would have to think that there are some students who can't participate in after-school activities, in sports, because of those fees. They just don't have, the family doesn't have the money to do that. Right. This is going to allow more students to participate too, I would assume.
I'm telling you, absolutely. Yeah. And if people may say, if the kid can't afford it, the family can't afford it, tell them to stop buying this or tell them to stop buying that. I've sat down with enough families to look through their budgets. I'm like, hey, you want, I'll help you out. Let's sit down and go through this. I got to tell you, at the end, I'm like, I don't know how you do it, really. I mean, pinching pennies is rents. People that lived in housing for $800 a month, their rents are now $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month. They've almost doubled. And then you add in all of the other. I mean, try to get an automobile. If your transmission goes in your car, try to get an automobile today. Just one that passes inspection. You're talking anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 if it passes inspection. And then you got insurances and registrations and all of that. For a lot of families, I don't know how they do it. Seriously, it's a struggle. And, these are all things. AP courses. We have a lot of students that just, it comes down to being able to afford to have a student take their AP, their, testing and, it comes to sports and other activities. And it does work. We see it. And we run our oil program now. This is probably, the 12th year we run it, the donation program. We help people. We pre-qualify everybody. We screen everybody to make sure they fall, they really need help. Yep. And we do the same thing with, these other programs that we offer. But I think this is, at this time, especially now with inflation, cost of everything, rents, gas, fuel, food, everything. I know they say inflation's going down, but as I push my carriage to the store, I'm waiting to pick something up that says, we just reduced the price. The price went down by 10%.
And we see gas prices going up, and we know
20%.
Home heating oil is right around the corner when we're going to need it every 5 or 6 weeks, a new delivery. So
hey, I'm all for clean environment and electric cars and all that, but I really think it's the working class people that are getting hit the hardest.
Sure.
It's they're every time you turn another corner, there's an effect on them. And as I said, in this area of North Central Mass, we have a lot of hard-working people that work in these nursing homes and medical and factories still, and it's still very much working class communities.
Now, is there another? I think I read that there's another break for parents who have to pay fees for busing, for transportation.
Busing, we've made that no cost. Our thing is, we have some rural areas, and how people drive today, and we do a lot of enforcement, but we really want to make sure kids can get to school.
Sure, yeah.
And you know what? That's one of those things where administrative fees to track down every kid, and do you live a mile within the school? At the end of the day, it sometimes costs more for administrative fees than it does than actually what you take in. But I think that's all part of it. And yeah, I mean, hoping in the next year, will we do it again? Well, we'll have to look at what happens to the, you know, the economy and inflation and you know, what rents are. We have to, you know, take another look at that. But as I said, from when we went to school to now, the world has changed. But the, students have more opportunities than any other student has ever had in this country. And we see immigrants who come in and like, wow, I can't believe it. I can't believe this education system that you have here is phenomenal. I'm going to make sure my kids take advantage of that. This is the generation of successors. I mean, people that have the ability to succeed and do better than the prior generation, which is better than the prior generation, right?
You touched upon it, and I want you to do that again, that this is for the coming school year, but the effort is always going to be there to continue this beyond this current year. It will, and again, you have to, you know, look at what's going on at the time next year. You know, we start doing the budget again, we'll take a look at this, but it isn't just, you know, we did it and like, yeah, it sounds like a good thing to do. We monitored all of this, and we saw whether it had a difference in a student making it in the middle of winter, making it to school on time, or participating in after-school activities, or sporting programs. We see the leagues that run, you know, they try to have extra money set aside so that they can help us, you know, kid if they need it to participate. Sure. But a lot of times pride is in the way, and they're like, you know what, we can't afford to play baseball or t-ball or, you know, whatever it is, even though the leagues have been, you know, very generous about trying to help every student out. But success is my key. I want to see every kid succeed and do exactly what I've been able to do every day of my life. Something I love to do, whether it's a police officer or selling lemonade. I've always been able to do what I love to do. And I want every kid, you know, to measure their success based on the fact that, you know, they could bring a family up and you know, free to do the extra things that they'd like to do and practice the religion they'd like to, whatever they want to do, and be happy at what they do, right? I mean, isn't that like you? All the money they pay you, and you get to do it. To do this, yes, happy. I know. And you couldn't be any happier. But think about it. How many people? Success shouldn't always be measured on how much you make or, you know, what your job is. It really should be on happiness. Yeah, am I happy? You know, I've seen people that, you know, live on the third floor of an apartment house. Place is immaculate. The kids are well behaved. They go to church. They're involved in the community. I look at them as tremendous successes, you know. We got just a couple of minutes left, and because you're here and because we're changing seasons and going into the fall, give us a snapshot of some of the things coming up in Leominster post-Labor Day. So 29th of August is Dining Under the Stars. That's when we block off the southern section of the city where Logan's and Columbia Tavern and all those TC Lands, all those businesses right out on the street. And we have a band, and it's just one big party under the stars. It's fun. And then we start rolling into Johnny Appleseed Festival on September 23rd. We've got the Cannoli Fest coming up. We've got the Tractor Parade. We've got, it just goes, and then all of the Halloween events. We have the big parade and Leominster Frights, where you go around, look at everybody's houses that's decorated, and it just it just keeps coming. And then we start with all the holiday after October. We, beginning in November, it's spend the holidays in Leominster. And there's, a million things that you can do, but we have fun. Well, it's great seeing you again. A pleasure talking to you, and congratulations on being able to make that special announcement. Yeah. And you were all over TV on this, too. I didn't even think, I was like, hey, this just seems natural. Have you pushed, like I keep saying, have you pushed the carriage around the store lately? Did you see what's going on? This is the real world, Thank you again, Mayor. It's great seeing you. Good to see you, Scott. And I want to say to the viewers that we have another special interview coming up here in North Central Journal following this one with Mayor Mazzarella. The new athletic director at Fitchburg High School, Todd Robbins, is next. And welcome back to North Central Journal. We told you that Todd Robbins would be joining us. He is the new athletic director at Fitchburg High School. And yeah, I see you got the gear on
Absolutely.
already. How many days on the job now?
This is day 6. So we've made it this far, and the count continues. But it's been awesome. It's an awesome, leaping off point.
Well, the first question I had was, you're a Leominster High School grad.
Yes, sir.
And now you're the Fitchburg High athletic director. What's it like becoming a Red Raider?
It's a little bit like getting traded to the Yankees, I've said, and going to play for the arch rival. But I have to say the community has been phenomenal in obviously being incredibly supportive. Nobody has crossed the street when they've seen me or anything of that nature. So it's nice. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited. I'm excited to obviously be in a situation as a caretaker in this rivalry series to be able to work together with the other side and have that sort of friendly relationship. One day a year, okay, maybe more than one day a year, there will be competitions galore, but it's great to be able to have that built relationship.
Sure. And, a lot of people are going to recognize your name, not necessarily your face, but
sure.
Todd Robbins, years at WPKZ, years doing sports locally. Tell us a little bit about your broadcasting career.
Yeah, absolutely. I had started as a freshman in high school. So back in 1999, I knew that being a sports broadcaster is what I wanted to do. And so a few days into my freshman year, I took a friend. We went over to the media arts department at Leominster and said, "Hi, we'd like to broadcast the games." They said, "Great, here's a camera and a microphone, and the game's Friday night." And we were off to the races. And so we did that, and then it was off to Syracuse, where I was still chasing that dream of being a sportscaster. And when I came back home, that first bite was from WPKZ to take on what was then the legendary role from Dave Clark and Mike Flynn at what was WEIM and what is now WPKZ.
Yeah, and we crossed paths back in those days when
Yes,
I was hanging out there too before I came over to FATV. And you've always been a huge supporter of local sports, very involved in it, and that leads me to the next question. What is RFM?
RFM, Rivalry Family Media. It was really a brand. It is really a brand. That was sort of, we wanted a place, that being Bill Thomas, Kate Robbins, and myself, to be able to take on special projects, things that didn't quite fit into our portfolio on the radio side of things, and things that maybe didn't quite fit on the community access side of things either. It was sort of gave us space to be able to freelance, try some new stuff, and what have you. Fortuitous as it was that we started just before COVID hit, maybe a year or so before that. So we started to get some traction with it, and then COVID came along, and there were lots of sports, but nobody who could actually go to any of them. And so we took on broadcasting everything, from golf matches to soccer games. We had a blast going out there and doing it, and then it sort of continued to morph and develop. I always wanted it to be a place that we could build and expand. So it's been an audio-only platform at points. It's a combination video-audio platform. It's got podcasts. It's got shows. So it's got a wide range. And of course, right now, everyone's favorite question is, so who's going to do the games now? And the answer is, I don't know at this moment in time. I know where my schedule will be, and it's wherever the Red Raiders are on Friday nights.
And you're probably getting that question asked of you by Bill and most importantly by Bill, right?
It started with my wife probably first, and then Bill. But actually the best was when I had told Athletic Director Dave Palazzi over in Leominster I had accepted the position, and he said to me, in all seriousness, "Do you think Kate and Billy would continue doing the games?" I said, "Well, we'll have to talk to them about whether they'd be interested in doing that," because this sort of was my passion to lead. But I have a sneaking suspicion once we get everything, I'm going to get the itch again. They're not going to keep me away from a microphone forever, as you can see. And so when the opportunity presents itself, we'll jump at it.
Now, you also have had an interesting career of sorts as an umpire.
Yes.
Let's tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was at best a mediocre player, and that may be complimentary to my athletic
I peaked in Little
career.
League.
Yeah, bingo, same here. And so in so doing that, I turned from 12 to 13. You can go back. I went to play Babe Ruth, but you could go back to your Little League and start officiating. And I just always sort of had this fascination for umpiring. My dad played slow pitch over on Litchfield Street in Leominster, and I would go to the games, and the umpires were the thing that always drew my attention. And so when I had the opportunity to do it, I loved it. I was making $5 a game going out there and
Wow.
and doing games at the Little League level. I loved it, right? You know, how do you think I paid for college? $5 at a time. And you know, loved that opportunity. It was great. And then I wanted to sort of take the next step. Even though I was young, I was in high school, I was really looking to sort of flourish this into a job as opposed to, you know, bagging groceries or any of the other great jobs that high school kids get. And baseball, that avenue wasn't there for somebody who was 16. My sister was playing softball. I was hanging around the fields. I started talking to umpires. Next thing we know, boom, I'm in fast pitch softball. And that was the best decision I ever made. It led to opportunities, you know, to travel the entire United States, you know, doing games at colleges and universities everywhere, landing at the right time for the professional league, which had a franchise in Lowell. When I first got started at the college level, was phenomenal. Got a chance there. Got to work with Olympic teams and just a lot of fun. Loved traveling, and that ability to go someplace and get a chance to call games was an incredible opportunity. And it certainly, building these pieces together sort of explains how you land as an athletic administrator in the end.
Well, I wanted to touch base on that too, because you have a background as a teacher.
Yes.
You have your master's degree. What drew you into and I understand now, I'm going to answer the question, you love athletics. That made you jump into at least the desire to become an athletic director, I would assume. Yeah.
You spend enough time around athletics,
Yeah.
And you know the opportunities. And hey, I've had my, you know, ability to interact and liaise with athletic directors for years in various capacities. And so the job has always sort of piqued my interest. I even go back to when I was in high school, they had a city official for the day program. And the city official for a day every year, you'd write like your top 3 choices, right? It was everything from mayor, which I was the mayor at one point my senior year. That was my co-fad position. But sophomore or junior year, I applied to be the athletic director for the day. And Ralph Case was the athletic director at the time at Leominster High School, and I literally was his shadow all day long. And got to go around and see what he did and those sorts of things. So that always has sort of been in the background for me as something that I might want to. And I think in every educator's career, they reach a point where it's, okay, do I want to stay in the classroom solely, or would I like to look ahead at an administrative opportunity? And when I started to look ahead to where I might want to go administratively, I said, you know, athletic director, athletic administration, it pulls together all these different things that I love into one place, and a chance to still educate and affect students. This sounds like a great opportunity for me, and the master's degree obviously was a great pursuit. The University of Cincinnati was second to none. Loved my time, you know, working with them, even though it was from afar, you know, as an online student. But loved it. It pulled sort of all of it together for me, and here we are.
Here you are as athletic director, not just Fitchburg High School, the entire system, K through 12. What does that entail, beginning? Well, first grade or?
Sure. I mean, primarily our competitions are grades 6 through 12, right? Middle school up through high school. Right. I don't have any responsibilities, although some athletic directors in other districts do. I don't have any responsibilities in our phys ed program. They roll up under a different location. But to me, I think the ability to start reaching students at K1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on up, to get them excited about wanting to be Red Raiders is an incredibly important part of this process. So whether it's getting them to come out to games and be ball kids or T kids, you know, and just being around the sidelines of any sporting event, and sort of starting to get that little bug and starting to look forward to it. Even I've had the opportunity to meet with some of the, you know, the local teams like the Pity basketball and those folks, and if we can get them into our facilities at that age, and they start imagining themselves as Red Raiders at that point in time, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They want that opportunity to come to Fitchburg High School and wear the red and gray.
What do you see as the, I know you've only been on the job a short period of time, but what do you see as the strengths of the athletic programs at Fitchburg, in the Fitchburg school system?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, number one, it's the history, and we need not lose that part of the process. This is a historic athletic department in a historic athletic community. We are so fortunate to have, you know, both the history that we are connected to, as well as the historic facilities. Crocker Field is an absolute gem, and it has always sort of, because Doyle Field got their renovation first, Crocker has lost its sort of luster a little bit in the community. But if you really look at it and you really go down there and you walk around and you see all the pieces of history, you could feel the gravity of the moment every Thanksgiving morning when we're there far earlier than everyone else and setting up, and you have that time to sort of appreciate watching the sun come up on this historic venue. You gain an appreciation for what a gem it is, and when this project is done and the vision of the Crocker Field Restoration Committee is achieved, to restore that gem, to bring more people into this community, to be able to use that facility, it's a tremendous, tremendous centerpiece right here in downtown.
Now, what is your role in that restoration project?
Starting to attend meetings, lots of them. So we'll be joining the restoration folks once a month. We'll also be forming up a building committee in the very near future to start to look at sort of the nuts and bolts of the playing surface, the lighting system. Those are sort of step one of the sort of center part of this project. And then I think it will continue on as the years go by. But that's going to be the real sort of first level facelift that people will see, is to get a safe playing surface, both from a football, field hockey, soccer pitch standpoint, but also to get that track resurfaced. Right now, there's a lot of potholes in that track.
Yeah.
And so it's just hanging on. So to be able to get a safe playing surface there for all of our track athletes, the historic relay here in the community, another wonderful citywide historic event that ties around athletics, to have all of those pieces in place right away, that's going to start to, I think, lift how people view what it is we're doing at Crocker Field every week.
What are some of your goals as you step into this job that we can talk about maybe in the short term?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to bring consistency and stability to the role. I think in education, we're experiencing a lot of upheaval, and students have been experiencing upheaval now for a number of years. COVID obviously is the one that everyone points to, but the upheaval has been there across the landscape, across the state, and probably across the United States in the world of education. So to bring that stability and consistency, I want people to sort of see us as a bedrock. The athletic community is a bedrock of what is going on in Fitchburg Public Schools. Our ability to use athletics to get kids excited about wanting to be a part of their education. That as a teacher, it's one of the hardest things, is just to get students to care enough to want to participate in their education, to desire their education. And if athletics can be that tool, and I firmly believe it is, for a lot of kids, what gets them out of the bed every morning, gets them into the building, and their willingness to participate in athletics, I think that's a huge, huge win for us. And so to me, that's an important component of what we can do in the short term to try to help out our academic brethren in creating and educating the whole student in the community.
I saved the hardest question for last.
Sure.
What is your prediction for Thanksgiving?
As of Friday, as they sort of transfer the cliche, hope springs eternal for everybody, right? Everybody is nothing and nothing starting on Friday. So that's a great starting point for everybody. I think we've got a great opportunity this year. We've got a wonderful coaching staff led by Coach Paul DiGeronimo and his assistants that he is bringing on board that have energy and excitement and enthusiasm. They're excited to hit the ground running. It's going to be great to see everybody rolling on down to the equipment room, get their equipment on Friday, and get ready for their first practices over the weekend.
Todd, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Athletic Director Todd Robbins here on North Central Journal. Best of luck in the years ahead and building that program.
Thank you so much.
And with Crocker Field.
And I will say FATV is an incredibly important strategic partner for us from an athletic standpoint. And I've said that to Executive Director Nate Glennie, is we absolutely value this partnership. We need this partnership, and it can do an awful lot to raising into the community what athletics can do for our student athletes.
Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Great to talk to you.
Absolutely.